A warm welcome to a new episode of Melt. I'm Ritvika Gupta. Valentine's Day is around the corner, and brands have been ramping up their advertising with creatives that aim to woo consumers. Love it or hate it, Valentine's Day is a significant spending occasion for shoppers worldwide. This year, however, just a handful of brands in India have been able to skip the cliches and come up with concepts that are truly new and innovative. Mondelez India has certainly hit the mark with its Valentine's Day campaigns for Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk and Cadbury 5 Star. Both these campaigns are also digitally focused, fun, and interactive. Let's first have a look at the commercials.
Valentine's week can be a real drag. The cringy music, the cheesiness, and everyone always asking you,
Hey, what plans for Valentine's Day?
5 Star presents the Valentine's Day ALIBI. You can now say,
I'm not in town. I'm going to my cousin's wedding.
and you won't be lying. Because we've just taken over an island and renamed it My Cousin's Wedding. We've created the perfect alibi. You'll be completely unreachable and as far away from Valentine's Day as humanly possible. Just scan a special edition 5 Star and you could spend Valentine's Day right here doing the best thing possible. Eat 5 Star. Do nothing.
Kiss me, close your eyes and miss me. I can read your lips,
Read my lips,
fingertips, and happiness in your eyes.
Send a secret message only your loved one can see by scanning the QR code on the back. How far will you go to make them blush?
To understand the campaign objectives and the insights used to develop them, Anant Rangaswami, editor of Melt, will be in conversation today with Anil Viswanathan, Vice President Marketing, Mondelez India. Let's get ready to melt with Anil Viswanathan.
Hello, Anil.
Hi, Anant. How are you?
Always good, sir. I hope all is well at your end.
Fine, thank you.
You know, Anil, I keep track of, which brand or which personality we have covered. And I take care not to repeat people or brands normally. And since the last 2 years, since the lockdown really, we have kept coming to Mondelez and to you. And
It's glad to be here to talk to you, Anant. Thank you.
No, we're trying to, obviously trying to rationalize why I'm doing it. And the fact is you're one of the few brands where we've A, got activity, B, got good activity, and C, got unusual activity. There's a reason that, we're finding a need to talk to you, and I think our viewers would be interested. So now we come to these two campaigns for Valentine's Day, and both have an element of technology in it, which is also a common thread of a lot of the work of the last 2 years. Now, before I ask you the question, I am personally a little cynical of technology when it comes to consumers, saying that it really doesn't work too much. Somebody has to scan a QR code, or somebody has to, go to a website or whatever. So take me through one by one. First, the 5 Star campaign, and tell me what you hope to achieve through it.
Thanks, Anant. I think when it comes to 5 Star, over the last few years, from the time we've launched the new proposition of Eat 5 Star, Do Nothing, I think the core of the brand has tried to be a bit counterculture and tried to pick up themes that possibly resonate with Gen Z and are possibly at odds with, what might be very, very predominant. Where, for example, the youth are today asked to pack in their lives with more and more stuff and more work, and try to maximize the opportunities. The brand sense that there is also a need, an increasing sense of stress, an increasing need to find times and find moments when people can do nothing, and it's okay to do nothing. And I think that brand has enjoyed a lot of positive response from the consumers on that proposition. So we've just found very interesting spaces, occasions where we can take this proposition forward. And Valentine's Day is one such situation where on one side, there's a great degree of social pressure, peer pressure to celebrate and celebrate socially, visibly. And on the other hand, there's an equal bunch of people, who might feel that possibly they're the only one who left out. And then this brand comes along and said, like, you know what, there's a whole bunch of people who want to be left out. And it's okay. It's cool to be left out, cool to be alone, and, just give people a nice hook where they can enjoy their communication. I think that's really the context for 5-star. And we did it the first time last year with the Google Assistant, where we created a Google Assistant which advised people on how to do nothing and, avoid potential conflicts. Then we went on to Valentine's Day, where we inspired people to do nothing. And this is the next step. Now, I think to your question on, QR codes and the cynicism around digital, I think when we think about these messages, Anant, what's happened in today's kind of omni-channel, digital-oriented ecosystem that exists, you have one choice to say, I'll give a message and have a point of view and I'll leave it at that. And when there is a resonance and there's a keenness to engage, all we need to ensure is that the interface is seamless, interface is simple. It's not super complicated. It's not high tech. All they have to do is click a few buttons and they get something which is of a reasonable value. So I think we've found a lot of resonance here, Anant. And that's where here when we are saying, get yourself a nice alibi and, collect some do nothing coins and, chill out. Who knows, you might get to an island all by yourself. People find this quirky and they're willing to kind of come in. And as a matter of fact, we've already gotten, to a tune of million entries of people who are interested. So more than 10 million views and 1 million entries. So I think that's the kind of a scale that we are seeing on 5-star. So that's the first brand example, Anant.
Before I get to the second brand, which you're breaking on Valentine's Day as well, rather, which you created for Valentine's Day, let me get into this. You've done this, create your own flavor for your CDM and so on and so forth. Now, those also the responses run into millions. What does it mean to you in terms of sales? Because I can understand easily that young people will, if there's not much to do cerebrally, and like you said, click a few buttons, you engage. Now, beyond engagement, you want pounds, shillings, and pence. So now that you have history on some of your, shall we say, tech-led products, you can easily prove me wrong and say, this is what happened to our sales.
Absolutely. And again, taken us by surprise there, Anant. We tried, as I said, we tried once last year and then now we are doing it again this year. So that in itself is a proof that we're doing it because we are getting some returns. The breakthrough there, Anant, is by putting a QR code on the pack. So the consumer has to buy the pack to engage. Right. Now, It's not as if it's a difficulty that, I have to go to the store, pick up a pack, only then I can engage. It's because it's a nice incentive to buy the pack as well. So the consumer goes to the store, picks up the pack and scans the QR code. So that we are able to close the loop. So we're not leaving it only, on an online that I can go to a website and click. I'm actually putting the QR code on the pack. So just enabling a purchase as well. And hence last year and this year as well. This year we still are obviously looking forward to it, but based on last year's data, we expect 5-star to enjoy some handsome growth as well. So it's not just for equity and engagement resulting in sale as well. And very honestly, 2 years back, we were skeptical. We thought it's a very small niche, but we were pleasantly surprised. We seem to be hitting a very nice nerve here. And hence we're seeing actually a brand as large as 5-star also. It can actually become a very big campaign for us.
So now we come to the second campaign, which again has a level of technology involved, and talk me through that.
Again, a nice journey. I think Valentine's Day for us now has been and is continuing to be a very nice case study where today Valentine's Day has become larger than even Rakhi for us. So just as a day that is celebrated and, we believe in creating these occasions, we think that's the way to grow the category. So it's become a very large occasion for us. And if you see the key trigger through which it's become big, one is, of course, creating the ritual, making it special, making it very, very youthful, so that it's becoming then becomes a very acceptable practice, and then we kind of driving it in scale, started in the large cities, now taking it into tier 1, tier 2 cities, etc. That was the first one journey, bringing it, making it salient, tying up with, at that point in time, movies like Gully Boy, making it very, very unmissable, as we called it. So that was the first journey. The second journey was around personalization, Anand. And hence, when we created the Pop Your Heart, there's an element of specialness. And it's a very simple, but yet endearing, the fact that you pop a chocolate heart. Right? And that element of personalization with a little bit of note on the pack, we found again, people are willing to do that. A small but very nice gesture. And for a Gen Zer college goer, it's a reasonable investment, good enough to make the moment special, but neither is it something that they can't afford. So, that element of personalization we are continuing to take forward step by step every year through digital. And this year again, so firstly we made the chocolate heart into a pink heart. So again, a degree of specialness. Again, an element to personalize with a handwritten note. But now we are saying, why stop at a handwritten note? You have a QR code, you scan it, and you can actually make it larger than life. Make it almost, the best, as in India especially, the best love stories are all in celluloid, right? So make it larger than life. You can almost announce your secret message out in a hoarding, right? I scan the pack and I scan the hoarding, and actually I see the hoarding convert into a personalized message. So again, a very unique augmented reality intervention. We've not done it before, where it almost becomes a personalized hoarding, which then I can capture, and the moment is super endearing and very nice. These are the things that the Gen Zers like. Something which is tech-enabled, something that is personalized, something that's special they've not done before.
Let me take you to something else that I've noticed, and I want your view on that. The last few years, I think, in the casting of your characters in your films, I think it's become significantly almost a language of similarity yet uniqueness both. How much time are you and your team spending on pre-production and on casting? It's a very, very narrow question that I want to answer to, because I'm seeing some interesting. It looks like a Cadbury girl or looks like a Cadbury boy. I'm able to say that now.
I think one specific element on pre-production, Anant, is we do believe in build, just the way we have a long relationship with our agency partners. Similarly, trying to build relationship with our production partner doesn't mean that we work with the same production partners, directors, but we do have a group, and some of them who've grown with us or who've done a bunch of work with us. So they understand the kind of space, the kind of faces that we look at. As you would have noticed, except for a few situations which merited the need, we typically go with regular people, real people, and tend to be a little bit more slice of life. And that, of course, resonates. And I think, especially on Silk, when we launched it, when we had to make it really dazzle and make, hence the casting in such a way that it's a little bit more premium and dazzling, the brand is also now scaled up to an extent where consumers want to see themselves in it. So I think hence that little bit of boy next door, girl next door kind of casting seems to be helping us. And somehow, through the pre-prod process, our production partners, our agency partners have gotten used to understanding the space. I think we are also definitely trying to be more diverse in our casting. That's in line with a broader agenda to be more diverse in the way we look at the entire process.
Right. So we speak about boy next door, girl next door. Last year during the, I think, Wave 2, you got Shah Rukh Khan to help the other shopkeepers and so on. You use Dhoni. So why do you use celebrities as well? It's a question that one wants to know. Because that's as extreme from the boy next door, girl next door.
Absolutely. And hence I was cautious when I framed my input to say, obviously, we use the entire spectrum. Again, it's completely based on the objective of the campaign. And again, the two examples that you picked up, I think in some cases, There is also a need to build credibility, and that phase provides credibility. So in the case of the smaller shopkeepers, we wanted to give them something that meant material, something that could be material to them, and not something that seems a little bit tick in the box. And nothing like getting a celebrity endorsement. That's the most material thing that they would have seen in their lives. And similarly, when it came to Dhoni, you would notice that it was not Dhoni alone, but Dhoni with Ziva. And we were one of the first brands to cast Ziva. So we had to convince Dhoni that this could be a nice space for him also to bring Ziva in. And as you know, these days, celebrity children is also quite a big topic. So I think, and there we wanted to establish a father-daughter relationship, which is very natural. And, you know, we would have seen in social media as well how Dhoni has come out as, you know, quite openly demonstrating the kind of parenthood that we think Oreo represents. So I think it provided credibility to the kind of parent-child relationship that we think is very important. Spontaneous, playful, out there, willing to spend time with the child, you know, being like a child. So I think that element of credibility was provided. And hence I think it's not just the face, but where the objective is being met is where, you know, we are able to use the celebrity, and it's also giving us dividends.
Now, let me take you a bit through history. 1980s and 1990s, when you wanted older adults to sort of discover the child in themselves and consume what was then Cadbury's those days and not Mondelez. And now, if I again look at common threads in your communication of the last few years, it's becoming, teen and young adult, and with the Oreo case, a young child. But, you know, am I out of your TG now?
Not at all. I think, one of the common threads is kind of bringing out the child in you, and hence the ability to relate to a situation which is aspirational. I think, the messaging at that point in time was aspirational in the way we were connoting the theme of self-expression there. And there it was about letting your hair out and be the person you want to be, and not really be caught up in the social mores. And that is all the whole area of self-expression, which kind of created that huge amount of aspiration. And today the element of aspiration is actually in the spirit of connection and spontaneous connection and relationships. So I think we do see amongst the youth, amongst the children, the element of spontaneity and relationships come out effortlessly. And that becomes aspirational in today's context, where the broader rhetoric is about being a little bit more self-oriented, caught up in the challenges of the work pressures and the context and the responsibilities, etc., etc. Just being a little bit more spontaneous and connecting with others, which is kind of taking a backseat, is the way we are trying to talk about it. So I think you are right in a sense that the target and focus might be changing. But I think one big point for us is still to be aspirational to all, and we are able to get that space going.
Right. So tell me, Anil, is this a pressure from the media consumption habits we are seeing now? Because again, you go back to your 90s films, or even to your Pappo Paas Ho Gaya and so on. You had one big brand film in a year, which ran and ran and ran and ran. Now there's pressure on all marketers, to keep changing communication, targeting their consumers, because they believe the life of a piece of work is much smaller because consumers get bored with it.
That's a very very interesting point, Anant. I think first point to reconfirm is that ideas and platforms need to stay for a much longer period of time, and just the discipline, the marketing discipline of staying focused on an idea is very, very important. And that Kuch Meeta Ho Jaye is now getting into its 18th year. So 2004 when we began. So I think we're still holding on to Kuch Meeta Ho Jaye and not letting it go. The second point is, I think in terms of creative, and internally we are very clear that our best performing creatives, we keep going for a long period of time. And in the last 2-3 years, we've seen that some of our creatives last way longer. So we have a Rakhi commercial between the boy and the sister, and the boy sacrificing his bat. running for 4 years now, right? And consumers don't tire of it. I think engagement platforms change, and there is a desire to engage more frequently in newer and different ways. So engagement ideas keep changing, Anand, but the core creative actually continues to follow the same principle. If it's working, actually stay invested. And I would argue that today it is all the more reason for us to stay with them longer, because the exposures are so crowded, because there's so much more content. So the ability for a creative to cut through takes time. So if it took us a year in the past, it possibly will take 2 to 3 years. So actually the argument is to stay committed to a piece of creative for a much longer period of time.
Right. So when are we seeing the next big piece of work from? Today we've been discussing largely tactical work because it's connected to Valentine's Day. We spoke about Shah Rukh Khan, which is also kind of tactical. When are we seeing the next big brand film from any of the
coming up soon? Anand, a lot of work is happening in the background. We want to continue to build on the lovely platform of generosity that we have written on Cadbury Dairy Milk, and a lot of work is happening. So at the right point in time, we'll engage with you. Definitely do expect some new news from us in the time to come.
Fantastic. Always good talking to you, and I hope we keep having reasons to talk despite my keeping an eye on how often you've been appearing. But if the work demands it, we will talk. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure, Anand. Thank you for having me.
And that was Anil Viswanathan giving us an overview of Mondelez India's marketing strategies and the idea behind their Valentine's Day campaigns. He is now presenting the Mel cheat sheet. Consumers connect more with ads featuring real and diverse people. The use of celebrities in advertising brings credibility to a brand. Today, marketers need to stay focused on a core idea for a longer period of time. On that note, let's now move to this week's creative picks. Amazon Ads has come up with a 30-second spot for Valentine's Day that asks Alexa to define, or rather redefine, love. The campaign, called Alexa, What is Love?, aims to foster inclusivity in communities and bring a different understanding of love to the forefront. It includes responses from people of various backgrounds and some of their definitions of love, including acknowledging their identities, showing patience, and creating safe spaces for others. The ad is shot like a documentary-style film that dives deep into the lives of the voices featured in Alexa's new responses. It is powerful and inspiring.
Alexa, what is love?
Love is making sure that I was just like any other kid. I was always encouraged to be super independent, and I think that in itself is a great form of love.
Love is when someone acknowledges how I identify.
Love is when we create safe spaces for Black women.
When the people that have that power to give us the support we need to make sure our voices are heard, that's when you can really see love showing through strong.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Melt. You can follow us on social media. Our handle is Ready to Melt. And stay updated with all that's happening in the world of advertising and marketing with our daily Melt update on our website, readytomelt.com. I shall see you next week. Goodbye.